All right, so the time's officially 1 o'clock. We're going to go ahead and get this started. Today's webinar is going to be on our Speco dashboard. We're going to cover what it takes to be able to add new devices to the dashboard. We're going to talk about what the dashboard can do for you today, updates that'll be coming in the future. Let me get my screen shared here. All right, so everybody should be able to see my screen today. And if at any point in time, if anybody has any questions, just drop them in the chat box and we'll do the best we can to answer them while we're here, or we'll get back to you afterwards. So what I've done is I went to speco-cloud, and that is going to be our portal for the dashboard. And you're going to see this screen here. So the first thing we want to do is log in to our account. Log in. If you don't have an access code right now, or username and password, a little bit farther on in the webinar, we will go through the process of how to get that going. First thing I want you to see here is that we see a bunch of green check marks, the overall user interface. So the design of the dashboard was not one to be able to overload you with features and benefits that you're not going to use. It was meant to be able to try to take some of the existing problems out in the field and figure out how we can not roll truck for a few of those installs. How can we find a way to be able to, take existing systems and software that are out there as far as central management goes, and how can we do that in-house to where this is our software, we do all of our own engineering, our software programming, so that means we can control what direction it goes in, features and benefits that customers and dealers want. We're able to make changes on the fly. But also it goes together with our whole firmware updates, our recorders. As we develop and we move laterally with this integration of different AI and different platforms, the end goal for Speco is to allow you to have one central management software program, which is our dashboard, that allows you to access not only your cameras, but coming very shortly, you'll be able to access your access control recorders as well. So for right now, what we're going to do is go through a little bit about what we see on the screen here. The first thing that stands out to you is this big green all clear. What the all clear is showing you is that let me get a little bit more on the site level here. You'll see that I have two main, one main account, which is Sochalski Security, and this would obviously be your company's information here. And then I've got two sub accounts below that, which are commercial and residential. And then I've split up my demo systems I have for these trainings based off of whether they're a commercial environment or a residential environment. But you'll see that I have all green check marks, which means that all my sites are up to par. So currently you're able to see whether that recorder is online. So if we were just to go to a recorder, and we'll kind of jump around a little bit, but we'll always circle back to where we were at. When we're talking about the green health checks, I think it's a 7-minute heartbeat that we're checking every 7 minutes as far as what the recorder status is. And that's something that was important with the NAT2 upgrade to our recorders. So you'll see here that we see that the Herbal Care Plus recorder status is online. So that's what the green check marks are showing me currently, is online status of my recorders. If that recorder were to go down completely off the network, then this red check mark would turn into the green check mark would turn into a red circle. And that is going to show us that recorder is offline. If there's a firmware update to it, or if you have a camera down, if you're using the camera healthcare checks, then it's going to be a yellow exclamation point that will look similar to, I believe this site here will show us what the exclamation point will look like. But what it's going to do, then you're going to see a yellow exclamation point in your main. So it'd be a commercial. If I had one of these sites that need attention, you'll see this yellow exclamation point here. You'll see that something similar to that at your site that needs attention. So back to our main thing is what we see on the screen. If we just go home, that's the all clear section there. A little bit farther on this webinar, we'll talk about if you want to move this health check into a second level or second tier, we have the capabilities of being able to have camera health checks as well. So on top of the original recorder status of being online, you can also monitor individual cameras as well. So what else we see here is the ability to be able to log out. We see site info, which is just going to show us all of the sites that we have, all the recorders that we have. What's unique about this is you see the action feature. You can export this information out to either an Excel or a CSV file. But what this does is tells me the account, what account it's under, the name of the site, and also the QR code. If I wanted to access a site directly, I could do so by simply selecting that site name, and then it's going to take me right to that site, as you can see here. Okay, get back to where we're at. View logs, it's going to show you as far as whatever logs or who logged into this main console. Under settings, it's going to be more of just your organization information. You can also change. You'll see that I have a generic logo that I brought in just to be able to demo, but we can select on the image and then browse our company logo and bring it into the dashboard as well to give it more of an OEM experience. Save any information that you want to change as far as the customer information goes. Under info, it's going to give you the version that you're running. What's unique about this and it being software based is that when we're constantly releasing updates and new features to the dashboard, you don't have to go update the firmware, change your software. It'll automatically change for you. And then also the user manual. We do a very good job of actually taking a user manual instead of doing more of a print version. Everything is screenshotted. So if you do have questions as far as what something does, it's all very well laid out in the manual. Now, we spoke earlier about health checks to cameras. So I want to say that, and also as we dig in a little deeper, as we discuss how to bring recorders in, I'll discuss using the SecureGuard CMS app. This takes you through the process of getting that installer logged in. But the main thing I want to show you as far as camera healthcare is that on page 61, if you are wanting to right here. So on page 61 is that if you want to do camera healthcare checks, it's going to give you what you need to be able to set that recorder up with tampering, or whether a camera goes out, which is also going to be tampering. But more importantly, we give you the SMTP server information that you need to put into that recorder to be able to have it email out those notifications. And you want to follow these 5 or 6 pages of steps. Each individual thing shows you what to do to be able to set that up to where it's on a camera level. Very simple. It's one of those things you'll do one time and then you'll be able to do it yourself. That it is nice to have the SMTP server information that we provide for you, so you don't have to provide one or get one from the customer. So now we come over here, and how I was just showing you, we're actually doing a little bit of development right now on this, but as far as installer goes, you'll come into installers and you'll simply add a new user. And what that user is going to do is have the ability to be able to come in and let me just back out here. So when you select installers, you'll have the ability to be able to add a new installer. So if we have Tom as an installer, I'll say Tom is your username and your password is 1234. So then Tom will go log into the SecureGuard CMS app that was just in the manual there. And when he's installing the Speco in-series recorders, when he gets to the NAT page of the easy setup, he will scan that QR code using the CMS app, the SecureGuard CMS app. And that's what's going to bring that recorder into the dashboard from Tom out in the field. That's the first way. The second way is to simply come over here and hit add site. And then now keep in mind, so whatever name that we give that recorder out in the field, like when we're naming our cameras, we also want to name that recorder. That's what's going to transmit from the recorder to the dashboard as far as namings go. So if you'll notice that where all of my names are nice and accurate here, that means I went into the recorder when I set it up and gave it the name that you see here. I can't change this name once it's been brought into the dashboard. The only way to do that is if a technician forgets to name it, would be to go out and would be to remote into the unit, change the name, and then delete it from the dashboard and then re-add it. But by adding it manually, all we need is the QR code from the recorder, the admin login, and the admin password. And then you would select which account or which sub-level you want it to go into. And then simply hit save. So that's going to be the second way to add a site manually. And you'll notice I can come over here and add another account to a residential sub-level. If that was, we'll say residential west side of the state, residential east side of the state, then I can make my tree however you want, however your company is structured, or however the best way is for you to utilize that. So now we've covered a little bit about what you see on the screen here. Obviously, I can drop each of these things to make it look like it's very nice and clean for those OCD people out there. Once I select a site, so we'll just we'll select this particular site right here. Well, let's go to one I've actually I've got a few more users in here. All right, so if I select on the site there, what you're going to see is it's going to pull up the name of the location, site information. So it's going to tell me the model of the recorder, the type of recorder, the QR code that is associated with that, that connection with our cloud service and the dashboard, and also more importantly, the firmware version that it's running. So below that, you'll see a few different options, what we can do. Starting from right to left, site log is going to give us, if we run the search, it's going to give us the site log of that site itself, and not of a dashboard log. So we're able to check any logs, whether we want to see if that recorder was going offline, if there was any events that happened, if there was troubles, we can see that from the site log. Another big user add is that if that user calls you and they say, hey, I got 2 new employees, I need to add 2 people to the system. We're going to get rid of Joe and TJ. So I can easily come over here and say, okay, let me get rid of Joe for you. Let me get rid of TJ for you. Great. I've just disabled them. That way, if they come back, if they move in stores, or if I need to delete them, I can simply go to the delete and delete them. If I wanted to add a user, so we wanted to say we're going to add Tom. We're going to give Tom, his username is Tom. His password is Tom11 exclamation. Yeah. Now you'll notice here that we have Tom added to the system. So that's how long it took me to be able to request or process that request from the customer. You know, I bill for the 1 hour, or whether that's part of a maintenance agreement, I've just serviced their need in about 15 seconds. So again, we can disable add users at the touch of a button. If we wanted to remove the site off our platform, we can simply delete the site. If we want to edit anything, as far as if we want to see what, you know, what NAT service it is, if there's anything we want to change, or just find out more information about the site, this is everything you would need to know about the recorder: the MAC address, the username, the port it's using, the QR code, whether it's running NAT1, NAT2, the model number, what location it's at. So this is a great technical information for going out to either troubleshoot, or if you have to replace a unit, add a unit. Let's cancel that. All right, so the next thing would be, this kind of sits in place with our RMR opportunities with this platform, is that, you know, with all Speco cameras, we're running analytics on probably 95% of them out of the box, and there's no licensing included, no fees, no reoccurring fees, no nothing. So, you know, there's a lot of opportunities that lie with setting up setting up vehicle detection, people detection, facial recognition, license plate recognition, but rolling this into an RMR service. Whether that includes the maintenance, the programming, the setup of it. You know, this platform is what is geared to managing those opportunities, both from the healthcare checks of cameras, recorders, and from the abilities to be able to turn on and off any of our analytic features. So for instance, if we, this customer, we sold them the LPR feature instead of actually charging them full retail on the camera, we might have said, okay, here's the price of the camera. This LPR feature is going to run you $8 a month. So we're able to basically leverage an RMR for less markup, or if we charge the markup and charge extra for the license plate recognition programming and maintenance of that. So there's a lot of opportunities how you do that. It's more structured for your business. But we do have the capabilities you'll see here of just turning on and off LPR cameras. So real simply, we can come into any of our, so intrusion, it's going to show you any camera that's on that system that is capable of running intrusion. So if we have that programmed previously, we can either turn on and off that feature. Let me go back to a different one here. And then also like facial recognition, which is a higher level. But also we can come in here, you'll see under line crossing, and the one it's showing me the one that's turned on now. I can either turn that off, or I can come in here and do anything I want to as far as removing or adding that feature. And what's nice about Speco is that a lot of our, by default, if I just turn on the feature, whether that's facial recognition, that's the LPR, or that's out of the box, if I turn that IP camera on, it's going to do it full screen. So a lot of this stuff out of the box, you can turn it on and have that feature start happening. So it's a very unique opportunity. But you'll see here, like certain cameras that is unavailable because it's doing the LPR feature. So you'll see that any of my cameras that are capable of doing facial recognition, it's as easy as just turning it on if it's available. So we'll just say this camera here, I can turn on the sales counter PTZ and turn on the facial recognition. And there I've got a success. So again, a little added feature. This will continue to develop a little bit farther with added, I think our roadmap is along the lines of being able to see the camera if you choose to make these setting changes, which we have a lot of things down the pipeline coming. One of them is adding levels of users to where you can add multiple users to the account, and you can set sub levels of what permissions they have. So this should be something that you should see very, very soon. And also the ability to be able to add access control panels from Speco to the dashboard. So not only can we see your cameras and your recorders as far as if they need any help as far as health checks, or we can also manage your access control units to say that, okay, oh yes, all your doors are still online. Your access control panels are still online. So some really nice things coming down the pipeline. Probably one of my favorite features is the ability to be able to go to the connect feature and connect to this device without having to remember what its QR code was, what its username and password was. Once I've added this device to the dashboard and I hit the connect feature, you'll notice that it utilized our connect.specotech.cloud portal and allowed us to be able to get in this recorder, have pretty much full function from the recorder, just like we were sitting behind the desk itself. And from there, we're able to come in and manage different things, whether that's if we wanted to come into intelligent analytics and search, whether that's a face, human body, vehicle. If that customer said, hey, we just had a break-in and I need to know the license plate of the last vehicle that left there, or I'm looking for a certain truck, car, so we can come through here and say, okay, I'm looking for you now. Let me pull up your recent plates. Okay, was it on the back camera or the front LPR? Well, it was on the front. Okay, well, let me go through. You're looking for a maroon Ford Escape. Okay, yeah, I've got the plate here. It's AK 1987. And if we wanted to see the playback, we're able to sit here and say, okay, yes, I watched it drive through. It's a maroon Ford Expedition with ponies on the side, so you won't miss it. So this is just one use case, but we're able to basically use the dashboard to access units on the fly if the customer chooses to do so, or if you need to do it for maintenance. If we want to come in and let's say the tech forgot to name the cameras, I can settings camera, come in here and preview, say, okay, even though I've named all mine, this is the sharing room entry. I can come over here and name this, or I can make changes that would have been a little bit more cumbersome, whether I had to remember the IP address, hope the ports were opening, hope they didn't change their router. A lot of things that were cumbersome in the past now have been made very easy. One of my favorite things to demo is, with a lot of network cameras, a lot of the times we can, let's see here. A lot of the times with network devices, we can come in and do a simple power cycle to that device with individual ports and usually, unfreeze up any type of digital handshake problems or just any type of problems we're seeing on a system. So we'll say that, let's say that this is a system here that I know is a PoE, so it's a plug and play unit. So if I wanted to come in for the customer and I say, okay, we're having the cameras having some problems. Let me come into system. Let me come into PoE settings. And okay, so this is the camera. Let's say that it was having problems. Apply off. Say save successfully. That's going to be camera 4. If I go into multiple views, you will see now that camera 4. Oops, let's see here. 8. You'll see that I have lost my garage camera. This is not my garage. This is the O2TML I'm using for facial recognition to open up the garage door and man door. But you'll notice now if I come back into settings, system, PoE settings, PoE port, on, apply. Let's give that a second till we see some power coming to the camera. All right, so now we're seeing power again. If I go back to live view, I would say that my garage camera should be up or coming up shortly. I'll give it one more second. All right, so we're showing power. All right, we'll give that one more second to pop back up, but I can assure you that it sure will. But what we're doing is we're creating capabilities for you to be able to remote into systems. And while we were on this in this PoE settings, I want everybody to see here that with the 1.47 version firmware update, a big change that we made on the software side was the capabilities of being able to come in and turn off the plug and play unit from either on a port level and also the whole recorder level. So if you were wanting to run 2 or 3 cameras from a switch downstream with our plug and play unit previously, you couldn't do that because it was 1 port, 1 IP address. Or if you wanted to nano out, use a point-to-point wireless bridge and then have multiple cameras sitting on a pole, come back to 1 port, you couldn't really do that without putting the cameras on your local network and then bringing them in on your LAN port. So we made the change to be able to, under basic settings, PoE settings, just where I was sitting there, and I can see now that camera is back online. I'm seeing full wattage. I can come into PoE plug and play settings and disable the plug and play settings on each port or all the ports together, and then simply hitting apply to do that. So by doing that, you're able to, if you have any in-series recorders that are out in the field that you couldn't do this previously, so if it held you back on any jobs, you're now capable of updating the firmware to the 1.47. And then you will have this feature in that recorder now that will allow you to be able to run multiple cameras downstream from a single port. And just to verify, fingers crossed, right? Let's go back to our 8 camera view. And you will now notice that my garage camera is back up. So, some things that we previously were, it's not so much that we can't do this with recorders, because obviously we could remember the IP address, the DDNS, how we're accessing that recorder, their username and password. What this device is really meant for, or what the dashboard is, this tool is really used, is to be able to simply access your recorders. And then once you have, I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 or so demo sites. You know, it became cumbersome even for me before the dashboard to be able to remember what are all my QR codes, hope that I was on the right laptop that had them saved for me. But even for me having 7 sites, you know, I can tell you this has greatly improved the capabilities of navigating my sites out there and making sure that my demo locations are online, and then I don't have cameras that go down. So with dealers that have 5, 10, 15, 20 different accounts a week, a month, you know, being able to structure them into a form like this that you put them in one time and you're always going to have that logged is very, very, very a good feature to have. And, you know, our price on this is $1 a recorder a month. I mean, as far as allows you put this on the dashboard for your customers to manage it and then start monthly fee. Webinar today will be a shorter one. No questions as of now. All right, so we're going to keep going a few more minutes. There's a couple more things I want to show you. But if anybody does have any questions, drop them in the chat box and we'll be sure to answer you. So the 2 things I want to finish up with is where do we get the dashboard? Also, I want to show you that what's unique about our exclamation points or when there's an issue with an account, or not so much an issue, but like this one. Even though I'm seeing a green check mark, it's telling me that what other people don't know is, so this recorder is running, a little backstory, this recorder is running our beta version of the 1.47 before it's released, and I just haven't updated it yet to the current version of the 1.47 because I like it to be able to show what it looks like when you need an update to a recorder. And you'll see here that because a lot of customers, you know, you'll get emails saying a new firmware update's available from, you know, certain dealers. And here's the fix. It'll be like quality control or it's just generic terms. What we like about this is that we've actually given you that information. So you'll see here that it updated the DDNS connection interval. It fixed audio clicking sound bug, provides detail and email notification. Now supports Plugin Pro, which allows you to be Google Chrome compatible and 4 split restrictions on Chrome. It fixed the P2P 2.0 directional issue, added ability for users to configure video substreams, because we do allow you to be able to configure your frames per second on your scheduled recording, on your event recording, and your substream. So 3 different ways to be able to utilize better hard drive space. So what I'm getting at here is it actually tells you, and we released the beta version into our analytics. So it gives you, if that customer asks you, and hey, we're happy with where we're at now, what does it do for me? You know, what's this going to do for me? Because a lot of customers are scared of firmware updates. They don't want to be the guinea pig. So this, you know, clearly you can sit here and copy and paste this and say, okay, Mr. Customer, this is what this firmware update is going to do for you. I think it'll be a good fit for you. So again, it provides a little bit of backing into why we were doing things. So for those that don't have the dashboard, there's a couple different ways to get it. We'll go to SpecoTech.com. And while we're doing this, I'm going to real quick do a poll. Well, maybe I'm not. All right, so my question to everybody here was why I'm pulling this up, if you don't mind, is that I want to know, out of the 21 people in this webinar, how many of you have the dashboard currently, or you're testing it out? If you are, please put a 1 in the comment section or the chat box. If you do not have the dashboard, please put a 2 in the comment section of the dashboard. So if you go to our webpage at SpecoTech.com and then you go to solutions and then you go to dashboard, you will see there's two different ways. One, you can just call our 1-800 number. And like always, you can actually speak to a live representative from Speco. Same thing with our tech support. It is all American based. Your US based is probably the better way to put that. Or you can apply to become a partner. And then it's going to take you through the process of getting on and being a channel partner with us in the dashboard. So you'll see here the quite information. So one thing that we will say is that, we do pride ourselves in the dashboard, and we want to make sure that before you get a hold of the dashboard or you're turned loose with it, that you have went through a training with me, which is what we've done today. So if you're going to get the dashboard after this, and if you're asked, hey, have you been, that's going to be the first onboarding, is that we're going to make sure that we get you with a sales rep if you don't have one. B, we're going to make sure that you get with me on training if you haven't already done it, which is what we went through today. So just let them know that you have went through the training on 418. But if anybody has any questions, that's what we had for today. I'd like to thank those that hopped on again. We had 20 people today. That's awesome. For those that responded to my survey there, I do appreciate your time. And if anybody wants, before we hop off, I'm going to share everybody one thing that's going to be important. If we go to, let me go home, specotech.com. If we go to Learning Center, I get a lot of requests that are saying, hey, I was on this training. I'd like to get it to my techs. I'd like to get it to somebody else. Can I get that recording? So if you go to view our previously recorded webinars, and again, we want to be able to have you fill out this real quick form. And it's just so that I can keep my job and we can say, okay, people like this. It's actually so we can make sure that, again, that you have support, whether that be from a sales representative, myself. You will find, we're very passionate about what we do at Speco. We want to make sure that it's not just a sales thing. I'm here. There's me. Say hi. We're here to really engage with you and make sure that you get the most out of what you want. And we realize that everybody is on time crunches. We're all out making money. That's what we should be doing during the day. So, and I do appreciate this time that you're spending during this time. But if you ever can't make one, if you follow that little link that I gave you there, you'll find that we have them on facial detection recognition, the dashboard, sales engineering, speed up installs, advanced analytics, cloud solutions, the Speco Blue mobile app. This one's the one that we get a lot of hits on. I did a really good one, I thought, on the DD1 and DD2 digital turret, as far as linking these different cameras together, and turning your system into not only one camera, but you can turn every camera that's DD1, DD2 into a deterrent. So, no longer do we have to rely on alarm systems, because once somebody kicks in that door, they're already in the building. So now we can see people in the parking lot, utilize our analytics, and then have automated messages not blare across one camera, but 200 or 300 feet in every direction from these cameras. We're able to take 8 cameras around a building and turn it into a public address system that's going to tell you that you're trespassing on private property. Pair this with a schedule when that business is closed, and you've got a heck of a sales pitch there. So also license plate recognition. So once we do the demos, we've done many more webinars than this, but we go through, we edit it. If we have any technical glitches or anything, we remove them and we make it to where it's condensed to what you need, and also how to train your people. So again, hope everybody found this resourceful today. I'd like to thank you for hopping on, and we'll be back on here Thursday. So if anybody has, let's see, we got some questions real quick. Can we or will we be able to get notifications from the dashboard, like the email set up through the recorder? Absolutely. That's something that we are currently testing now in beta. So there's a lot of changes you're going to see come that are more on the user level in the next probably 30, 60 days to be fully released, as far as changing user levels, the ability to be able to turn on and off the live feed, being able to customize the notifications, because right now we still need the recorder to be able to do those health checks. For us, it's about trying to simplify that process instead of having to go through the instruction manual and follow the 5-page steps. You know, we're going to make that a little simpler on you. So bear with it now. Everything is, we're giving you the ways to do it, and we're going to continue to make that better. Is there a workaround around having to IP every camera being connected to a PoE switch and then running them into a CamNet jack in the back of a 32 or 64 camera that isn't connected to an ISP? Matt, I tell you what, this isn't really on our thing here. I'm going to give you my email address and email me directly. And we can get this answer. So that got our Q&A. Let's see if we have anything. That same thing from Matt. All right. So for those that are still on here, as far as everybody that has the dashboard, was this webinar helpful for what helped you learn more? Are you enjoying it? Give me some feedback if you don't mind. But for those that are ready to hop off and enjoy your Tuesday today. Today is Tuesday, right? Yep. All right. I want to thank you as always, and follow along with us, and we'll continue to give you more. Thanks and have a great day.